Okay, good evening. I think we can start the session now. For those who just joined, I'm Christina Doherty. I'll be your moderator for this evening, and I'm from the Commuting Students Office. And today we're having our first session from Wellness Week, and our focus will be on mental and emotional health. Our first speaker will actually be Kim Rose from Think Mental Health Jamaica, and they'll be speaking about mental health and how to cope during this difficult time. So, Kim, if you're ready. Oh,
All right, just checking audio check. Hearing me?
yes, we're hearing you.
Okay, awesome, awesome. It's such a pleasure being here. Usually we're doing this in person, but here we are. Everybody packed in my bedroom, technically. So let's make this happen. Um, Usually we do engaging sessions. So let's see how we can navigate through this. So I'm going to start by just checking in. How's everybody doing? And I don't want to I'm well. There are so many emotions that you can experience, and we want to encourage you to use them up. So if you're feeling angry, fearful, or anxious, anticipatory, surprised, joyful, sad, disgusted, trust, whatever you're feeling. If you're engaging with us on YouTube, you can drop them in the comments. All right, awesome, awesome, awesome. Let us know how you're feeling. I seeing stressed and tired, same over here, but we're pushing through. Anxious. Wow. So we're experiencing so many emotions. And even outside of COVID, there's so much. But the beauty about emotions is that no matter what you're feeling, they all are valid and they all serve a purpose. So, for example, fear is there to protect us. Maybe it's telling us something is out there that we should be mindful of. If we feel anticipation, it's really us looking forward to something and it's encouraging us to be as prepared as we can, not over prepared, but be prepared. If we're feeling joyful, it's a reminder to focus on what's important. If we're feeling sad, that's an opportunity to connect with our loved ones. If we're feeling angry, again, that's an opportunity to fight against whatever problems we're experiencing. So, this is just to say our emotions serve a purpose. Let me just give a quick disclaimer. I am not, nor do I claim to be a medical or mental health professional. What I am is a mental health champion who uses my experiences as well as knowledge I've gained over the course of few years to really help persons. So this is solely for information purpose, educational purpose, or if you want to see it as self-help. But as always, I encourage you to check in with your physicians or qualified mental health professionals if it is that you think there's something that you need to check up on, right? So don't disregard medical advice from professionals because of any information I share in this session. Now that this disclaimer is out of the way, I'm going to just share a little bit about who I am and also Think Mental Health JA. So, many persons who know me, they know me as the founder of Think Mental Health JA. Not many persons know the backstory or the reason why we were launched. So, I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder in 2015. Before that, I had experienced something very traumatic in 2010, thereabout. So, about 5 years before, I was in grade 10 and I had my whole life ahead of me. I was an A student. And, with the expectations and everything, I just felt like regardless of what I experienced, I had to push through. So one of the ways I was able to do that was to suppress my emotions. No, don't do that. Don't do it. But I repressed my emotions for 5 years. That allowed me to really push through. But of course, we know that anything that we pretty much hide or shove under the carpet, they will come out at some point. So 2015, second year at UWI Mona, Proud Pelican, I was preparing for an exam, right? Same time, same October, actually preparing for exams or November. And typical day in front of a mirror, putting on my makeup, getting my hair done, because I was that kind of girl, like to feel nice and look nice. And out of nowhere, I started to panic. And what I experienced was what I'd say is a textbook kind of panic attack. So from the racing heartbeat to the migraine to the confusion, it really started out in confusion and then everything else followed. It was an intense experience. But because of my knowledge of how the mind works, because I was taking psychology courses from first year, I was able to identify that it was an anxiety attack. And I asked my friend at the time to drive me to the counseling unit because I had a strong feeling what was happening. And lo and behold, after a couple of sessions with Dr. Brown at the counseling unit, big up Dr. Brown, I was diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. But, following a recent session, actually last week with my current therapist, she said that the what I felt at the time was just a manifestation of bigger things, right? So I was able to come to terms with what would have happened to me before and to get advice on how to navigate moving forward. And I have this weird thing about diagnoses. I love knowing what's happening. So whenever I'm given a diagnosis, it's kind of a sigh of relief for me, because now I'm able to give whatever I'm experiencing a name. And the day that I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, I understood exactly, okay, I could pinpoint all the symptoms I would have experienced before and said, that makes sense. So from that, I was able to get tips on how to navigate my experience, with the help of a professional, of course, my number one advice. And here I am today. I think I'm doing very well in terms of managing anxiety, but of course, I don't do it alone. I'm not alone. So yes, that is my story. And I want to share a little bit now about Think Mental Health JA. So aside from my experience, I realized how persons viewed mental health, even just the word mental, right? Remove the health. Just the word mental in itself has such a bad stigma associated with it. And for the life of me, I can't understand why. But unfortunately, that's what it is. And having had my experience and realizing that even especially in rural communities, there was a disconnect when it comes to conversations about mental health, I use that as an opportunity to, create a platform to raise awareness about mental health, destigmatize mental illnesses, provide support for persons who are, whether they're struggling or managing but need a support group, and also provide information on where to get help when we need it. All right. So that's where Think Mental Health, JA, comes from. And we have been lucky enough to get opportunities such as this to really share what we know or what we understand, all in a bid to encourage empathy, self-care, and help-seeking behaviors, right? So usually one of the first questions I ask is, when you hear the word mental health or phrase, what comes to mind first? What's the first thing that comes to mind? And I'm not seeing the YouTube stream, but if somebody could just, yeah, so we have some feedback going.
Yeah, I have somebody monitoring over on YouTube.
All right, so I have in the chat here, the word crazy, the word mad comes to mind. And it's unfortunate, that when you think about mental health, this is, and it doesn't matter what age group, psycho is one of them. No matter what age group or even educational background, because we do sessions like these all the times, and a lot of them have been in corporate Jamaica. And you ask the question, what comes to mind first? And these are the first things. So that really shows you how deep the stigma goes, because you think that, even with a certain level of education, people would understand, but that's not the case. So I wanted to encourage you to just be more mindful of the words that we use when we talk about mental health. I want to encourage you to read health. And whenever you hear persons saying or sharing certain stories or certain ideas about mental health, which just does not contribute to the forward movement of the cause, don't be afraid to speak up. Respectfully, of course, because, but don't be afraid to say, in fact, this is what it is, this is what it is not. Right? So use your own voice to amplify the cause, however you can. So we've spoken a little about this, that's one of the stigmas. And I also want to speak about some other stigmas which exist around mental health, because that's the only way that these conversations will really open up, when we highlight the stigmas or the myths and break them right down. Another one is that once you're diagnosed with a mental health disorder or a mental illness, that recovery isn't possible, or that's it for you, there is no hope. That is not true, right? That is not true. So I'm seeing in the chat here, mentally incapable of successfully completing a given task. So that's what comes to mind first. So we have a lot of stigmas out there as it relates to mental health, and we just want to be more mindful. All right. One moment. Okay, so we're going to differentiate mental health and illnesses. So mental health, all of us have a mental health. All of us have health. All right, let's look at the bigger picture. All of us have health, right? We have physical health, we have mental health, and there are other aspects of our health. If we're thinking more holistic, we can talk about financial health, can talk about spiritual health. There are different aspects of health in general, and all of us have these things. So when we talk about mental illnesses or any illness at all, it really is anything that affects our ability to whether live a normal, quote unquote, let me put those in quote, normal life, or they cause some dysfunction. Mental health has to do with your emotional, social, and psychological well-being. And mental illnesses affect your social, emotional, and emotional well-being. So even if you have no mental illness, I want you to remember that it is possible and you are susceptible to having bad mental health days or having mental health challenges. So one of the reasons we're here this evening is to really explore some of the ways in which we can take care of our mental health, or what to do if you feel that your mental health is deteriorating. And I'm going to start with first seeking advice from a mental health professional. That's my go-to. The very first thing. If you think that you may be having challenges with your mental health, just as if you get a flu or a cold, you run to the doctor. Um, that's what mental health professionals are there for, to take care of your mental health. So if it is that, even if you're not struggling, and I encourage you not to wait until you are at the point of struggle, right? Feel free to check in with your mental health professional or any mental health professional. One moment. So check in with a professional, and there are other things you can do. I can share things that I do personally. For example, exercise, get physical. I know a lot of us aren't good with the exercising part, but whether it is you want to start out with 10 minutes of yoga each day, or simple stretches, you don't need to be the heavy lifting and all of that, or walking for 15 minutes, whatever it is, try to get physical. And especially in COVID time, we get up, we probably sit down around the computer all day. We don't get up and move or do anything. We're stuck inside. I want you to be more mindful of ways in which you can help yourself and how it is that you may be putting yourself at risk by not being more mindful of how you're going through your day. So get physical, eat better. For me, how I manage anxiety is by lifestyle changes. So as it relates to, I mentioned exercise, food, eating healthier, lots more greens. Some of us don't like veggies. That's okay, I guess, but try to have healthier food. Try to have healthier food. And try to balance your plate. Not only eat healthy, but also ensure that your plate is balanced. You're eating, you're balancing out your nutritions and whatever your body needs to really push through your days and, allow you to live a healthy, fulfilling life. Take care of your mental health. Some of the things I do, meditation, there's journaling, there are your hobbies as well, whether you want to paint or draw, whatever it is that you do, play video games, whatever it is that you do those things which really nurture your mental health. Because if they have this phrase that goes, there's no good health without mental health. And I strongly believe that, because there are a lot of persons who are fit and strong, but when it comes to, mental agility and your emotional well-being, all of that, it's kind of wobbly. So I would encourage you, while you're focusing on physical health, also make your mental health a priority. And I personally believe in holistic health, right? So not only focusing on one aspect of your health, because even though we promote mental health, we don't only focus on mental health. We encourage persons to take a more holistic approach to their well-being. But definitely you want to ensure that you are prioritizing your mental health just as much as you prioritize everything else. I'm seeing a comment. There's also a general fear of speaking with a professional. That is true. That is true. And it goes back to the stigma as well when it comes to mental, like the word mental has such a bad rap, and unfairly, because when you think about, for example, we stigmatize Bellevue, but Bellevue is just like any other health facility. The only difference is Bellevue focuses on the mind and getting people back to a place where they can be mentally healthy, right? But we have such a stigma around it. And when we think about even like men's mental health, um, that's another whole story. That could be an entire session. There are so many stigmas, from hypermasculinity, toxic masculinity, to thinking men shouldn't show emotions. And there is so much that needs to be changed when it comes to mental health. Things which are preventing persons from actually seeking help, right? And I mentioned that one of the goal of Think Mental Health JA is to encourage help-seeking behaviors and to break down the barriers which prevent persons from seeking help. Because at the end of the day, is we sometimes have to take things in our own hand and say, okay, I need help and I'm going to go get help, right? And if we don't take that personal responsibility, a lot of the times, again, because of the stigmas, we're the ones who are going to end up getting hurt. And I love to share that when I started therapy, I had no shame about it. Every session, like I finish a session, I go back to class, I would share with my friends, I just finished my therapy session. And like stuff like help to break down the stigma as well. And make people know that there is nothing to be ashamed about. You are literally prioritizing your well-being when you choose to reach out to a professional. There's no shame in it, right? So if anybody here who's listening, don't allow the stigmas to prevent you from seeking help and living your best life. Because a part of living our best lives is taking care of ourselves. Okay. So we spoke about eating right, taking care of our mental health, getting physical. You can drop more in the chat. What other ways do you think you can take care of your overall health and especially your mental health? I also want to mention the importance of connections, and especially in a COVID time, yeah. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to, the isolation that is caused by social distancing and just trying to take precautions. Very isolating. And for some of us, it is even like really maddening to be alone or not be able to see our friends and loved ones, right? So it is important to find ways to connect, whether with your friends, your family, strangers, peers, and there are so many ways. I see a question. Who can I speak to at UE if I don't know any professional person? I just went over to the counseling unit. So you can give the counseling unit a call. I'm not sure how they're operating now that COVID is around, but reach out to the counseling unit, guys. And if you have your insurance, yes, Over Health Center. If you have your insurance, it's free. Well, it was free in my time. So I went there like every week. I schedule an appointment, like as me finish one, so me schedule the next one. Make use of it. Make use of it. You can also WhatsApp UE Helps. If somebody can drop the number for UE Helps in the chat, that would be awesome, awesome. There are also other ways. So I was talking about support in the form of family, friends. I also mentioned professional support, but there are also support groups for persons who, well, support groups usually are specific to, whatever health situation. So in this case, mental health support groups are available. Think Mental Health JA actually has twice a month support group. There is one coming up on the 24th. I'm going to share the link once I'm off this. I'm going to share the link for the support group so that you can sign up and benefit from peer support. Now, support groups should not be considered professional advice. They're not one-on-one therapy. So they're just there to allow you a safe space to share what you're experiencing and probably show you that other people can relate to what you're going through and probably give you some answers on how to move forward. UE Helps WhatsApp number is 876-294-0042. And the Health Center is 876-970-1992. So don't be afraid to reach out for help. In terms of resources, we mentioned UE counseling unit. Uno use up uno insurance, use it up, please. I'm begging you, I'm encouraging you. And remember, I say you don't have to wait until something is wrong. There are many reasons to seek therapy, and you don't have to wait until something is wrong. You can go to therapy just because. You don't need to have a specific reason. You'd be surprised to know how much you can benefit from talking to a professional, right? So use up the service. So there's UE. There are mental health organizations like Think Mental Health JA, which you can go to for support. So if you need to connect with a therapist, a simple inbox message or a simple DM to Think Mental Health JA, we can connect you with private therapists, right? So if you don't know, I'll go for counseling unit, whatever reason, even though I encourage, it's really beneficial. You can connect with us and we can connect you to private therapists, right? There are also other resources available on our social media pages. For example, just tips, self-care tips and tricks or whatever there is. And if we're hosting events, any virtual events, you can also find out there. So I want to also encourage you to stay connected. I did mention staying connected already, but I want to reiterate it some more because, again, with COVID, a lot is happening. A lot of us are feeling whether isolated or lost. So any opportunity you get to connect virtually, because remember, with social distancing, take the opportunities. So like now sessions like these, see how you can benefit. All right. I'm trying to see if there is anything else I wanted to cover, which I haven't. Okay, so some of the signs of deteriorating mental health. You may consider whether you are overindulging in food. Stay away from drugs, kids, but food, drugs, sex, we're young adults here, right? So if you find that you're overindulging or if you're experiencing any overwhelming emotions, and these are usually for prolonged periods of time, 2 weeks, if you find that, and especially if, for example, nothing traumatic really happened. For example, you lost somebody, but you're experiencing these emotions. Those are signs that you may be quite likely ready to reach out for help, right? So there is overindulging, uncontrollable emotions. You may also consider the thoughts that you're having, right? There are some thoughts that you should look out for. And those are really, whether they are, I'm trying to find the word. The word is there and it left me. So intrusive thoughts. So thoughts you don't want, but they come nonetheless, and you feel as if you can't control, right? So intrusive thoughts. If something traumatic happened, that's an ideal time to also reach out for help. If you've lost someone or if you're grieving, so I've been saying this, COVID has caused a lot of us to be grieving. We've all lost something one way or the other, whether it is our freedom, whether it is a job, whatever it is, we've all lost something. And so we're all going through a grieving process. Some of us still have not accepted that this is our new reality. And until we do, we won't be able to move through the grieving process to a place where we're able to live our new normal, right? So understand that we are all going through this together. We're grieving, even though we might think grieving is just, this is also grieving. If you feel stuck, how many of you can relate to, feeling stuck? And whatever stuck means to you, you may know what your usual productivity or creativity is like, or efficiency, but you just feel stagnated. How many of you have felt like that? If you want to just understand yourself a little bit more, that's also a reason to reach out for help. If you're struggling in relationships, that's also a reason, and not just intimate relationship, but maybe you and your siblings just can't get along for the life of you, and your parents having strained relationships, whatever it is, whether overall you just find it difficult to connect with persons, that's also a sign you may need to reach out for help. And another thing is, like, if you usually enjoy doing particular things and you no longer find yourself doing them, or you just don't get the same amount of pleasure. For example, I go back to painting because I like to paint occasionally. So if I find that I'm painting and it's just more frustrating than it is enjoyable, like over a good period of time, especially if it's something that I love to do, then that may be a sign. And just remember as well that you put things into context, right? Don't just take what I say and say, oh, my experience these, something off. Put things into context. Don't forget that part. And don't self-diagnose. Don't go on Google and search every symptom of a disorder or whatever it is and say, yeah, I'm me that. There's a term for it. I don't remember it right now, but there's a word for it. You find what you're looking for. You will find what you're looking for. So do not self-diagnose. Let me check the comments quickly. I'm a very guarded person, so my problem is sharing personal information with a stranger. All right, so here's the beauty about professionals and going to them. Them can break certain confidentiality, right? And if that's any comfort, I usually open up to my therapist. But let me not disregard the fact that you may have concerns about sharing. The therapists, from my experience, usually encourage you to share as much or as little as you are comfortable sharing. So they're not going to force you to share anything. What they will do is to prompt you, so ask you little questions, some leading questions, but they won't dig into what you don't or are not ready for. So one of my big reasons for choosing therapy over other ways of, expression is because I feel as if I can confide in a therapist and share things I normally probably would never share, right? So if that's any comfort, I hope it is. Another comment, sometimes it's best to speak to a stranger than someone close, like a professional counselor or a therapist. Yeah. So don't be afraid to reach out for professional help. And remember, things that affair go bad and terrible, right? For you to reach out for help. What about the cost? Is it costly? So as it relates to the cost, we usually just refer persons to professionals based on a number of factors. So you can reach out to us and we will connect you, and then you can discuss prices with therapists. That's a tricky question because what's costly to me may not be costly to you, or the other way around. So, and the fact that different therapists have different prices, I cannot even throw it out there, right? So you can just reach out to us. But like I said, UE counseling units, your insurance set, it should be free. I paid $0 for mine. So you can consider the counseling unit. So how do you reach out for help? If you're unsure, again, you can reach out to mental health organizations, or if you see any therapist online, you can reach out to them. So for example, Think Mental Health JA does referrals. So when you contact us, we put you on, because we would have a database of professionals, so we can put you on to a few. And to make it less overwhelming for you, we only refer 3 at a time, right? You can also ask your friends and family if they know anybody. And you can also Google, like Google is the one our best friend at this point. So you can Google therapists in Jamaica or psychologists in Jamaica, and see what you come up with. But again, we are here. Think Mental Health JA is here if you are unsure. And like I say, speaking with a professional is an opportunity to have uncensored conversations, right? Without the fear of judgment. Because a lot of us, to be honest, what we fear is being judged, and we fear, what may come of sharing what we have experienced. But I can assure you that you go to a professional, that's not to worry. I see another comment, insurance, like if you have health card okay, I'm referring to your health card. Yeah, I'm referring to your health card. So at the time, I don't remember if I actually got a health card, a tangible card, but I know once you pay up your school fee and stuff for the semester, you have access to medical services, like even the dentist. So mental health care is one of them, offered by the counseling unit. Let me know if there are any more questions in the chat before I go. But I just want to encourage you again, prioritize your mental health, but more than anything, focus on holistic growth and development. Stay connected, eat right, exercise, let your feelings out. Don't bottle them up. Don't bottle them up. And let's start break the stigmas. I think each of us can, take personal responsibility for mental health in general. You don't need to be a professional. Again, I am not a professional, but I use my voice to raise awareness, to allow other persons to know that they are not alone. So I really do hope that this talk was beneficial for you. And if you have additional questions, there's no way I could have said everything in this session. No way on earth. But if you have more questions, feel free to reach out. Like I said, we have an upcoming support group session. We have them planned out right around the year. 2 sessions per month. You can reach out. Next month, we will be focusing on men. So men, please follow us and find out how you can benefit from any initiative that we'll be hosting in November. But, we focus on mental health right around the year, not just October or May. So if you ever feel unsure or like you need help or you're just overwhelmed, you can reach out to us. And we can put you on to professionals if that's what you need. All right. So that is it for this evening. I will be sticking around just in case anybody has any questions.
Thank you so much, Kim, for that vibrant presentation. You kept the Zoomers and the people in the YouTube comments very engaged. I have 2 questions. This was actually emailed to us before the presentation. And one of them was, how can I overcome my anxiety disorder? I don't know if you'd like to refer to somebody else or back to the Think Mental Health page. And also, what can I do when the pressure seems overbearing?
All right, so I can share from personal experience because, again, I have been diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. I want to make it a note that even though I have the diagnosis, it doesn't mean I'm constantly in a state of anxiety or high stress. It only means that I'm susceptible to that or more likely to get anxious than the average person. And that is to say that at the moment, I feel I can manage. And this is to give you some hope that if it is that you feel overwhelmed, if you feel highly anxious, there is a possibility that you will be able to manage it. And I'm glad they asked the question the way they did. So, how do I manage my anxiety? It goes back to the things I spoke about. Focusing on my mental health. So, meditating, I have my morning routine and I stick to it most mornings, unless my body's telling me, Kim, you need to rest a little longer. But generally, meditation in the morning and throughout the day. And again, it don't have to be no 1 hour, nothing, just 5 minutes or 10 minutes, however long. Getting active. So I also do yoga. I prioritize communicating with my friends, family, and just staying connected with people. Because again, I'm a people person, right? And if I am isolated, it not gonna work for me. So I try to stay connected. I set time aside to connect. For example, on the weekend, that's my priority, just connecting with people. Um, and just ensuring that I'm not taking on more than I can manage. Because sometimes we do that, or we think we can manage, and then we try to take control and we struggle. A big part of managing anxiety for me also is just trying to stay organized, staying organized, but not feeling as if I need to control everything. Because that too will create anxiety. Because if you lose control or feel as if you're losing control, for me, that triggers me. So I try to change my mindset around control and boundaries. I can't forget creating healthy boundaries. So you create your healthy boundaries, make sure you communicate them, because what are boundaries if people don't know so them exist? So create your healthy boundaries, whether it be around how people contact you on your phone, when them contact you, communicate them and stick to them. Stick to them. Don't shake you with your boundaries. Because when they start get shaky, people going to test it. So have your boundaries, have your healthy relationships, eat right, exercise, focus on your mind, and just having I don't encourage toxic positivity, but I think it's very important to have a certain mindset that allows you to adjust, that allows you to, see the bright side as well. Like it's okay to experience the bad days and the bad whatever experiences. No, it's not okay. But anyways, it's okay if you're having a tough time. It's okay if you have overwhelming emotions, but your guide is, how do I move from this? How do I move forward? Right? So having that mindset where even though things are going terribly wrong, you know that things can get better, right? And have this attitude as well. Like for me, I like to tell myself, I don't know the answer right now, but I can figure it out. And that really helps, having that can do attitude as well. So there are many more things I could share, but off the top of my mind, that's it.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you so much. If anybody have any questions, you can drop them in the comments below. And before we move to the next presenter, I'm just going to address two other questions that was emailed. How do we find mentors to help with studying, and how do I overcome the fear of failing, especially if I'm already failing a course? Now, I know that this is now mid-semester time, so a lot of us are anxious about exams, especially because it's online and you're in a platform that you're possibly not accustomed to, or it might just be a difficult period for you overall. I understand that. The good thing about UE is that as much as we'd like to complain, they have made certain services available, and one of them is the academic support unit. Now, the academic support unit with Miss Janelle Morgan, lovely lady. I can tell you from working firsthand with her, she's really lovely, warm. And if you do have any academic concerns, you can private message me, or I will put her contact her to see if it's okay for me to leave her information in the chat, and you can WhatsApp her to get academic tips and maybe set up some consultations as to how best to manage your courses at this present time. So let me check YouTube one last time. Okay. So Kim, I think that is it. Thank you so much for coming out and sharing with us. Thank you so much. And as a reminder, Kim is from Think Mental Health Jamaica, and they're on Instagram, they're on Twitter, and they're on Facebook, and you can Google them, Think Mental Health JA. Thank you so much, Kim. Have a good evening. All right. So our next presenter is Miss Latifa James, and she will be presenting on the topic of emotional health. Now, Latifa is hold on, she's a intuitive counselor, a school counselor, spiritual minister, spiritual life coach, and a social worker and counselor with the Lola Cunningham Foundation. So Latifa is going to share with us about emotional health and well-being. Latifa?
Hold on. Yes. Good night, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. How y'all doing? Everybody doing fine? Good night, yes. So, today I'll be presenting on emotional wellness, and you know that when you think about the word emotions, it's used a lot, but do we really understand what it means to be emotional, or what emotional wellness is, right? So before we get into anything deeper, I want us to just ground ourselves. I want to take you through a relaxing experience, some guided meditation or imagery for you to just get a feel of some of the things that you can do. I heard meditation being mentioned earlier, but I'm just going to start you off with this and then we get straight into it. So oh yes, and my name again, Latifa James. I am also a Reiki master. So I work a lot with energy, right? And Reiki is a spiritual practice, yes, but it accompanies medical treatment. So it helps others, those people that have like cancer going through that type of treatment, the chemo, and persons doing other types of therapy for pain and to help them to be relaxed and help in the process of healing. It also helps with emotional healing as well. It facilitates it just the same, but most of the healing is you. I just facilitate it. I just bring that energy into your body for it to work, right? So let's go. I'd need everybody to close their eyes. So we're going to take a journey. We're going to ground now and get right into it so that all that we came here to get, we will get it, and then we'll leave refreshed. All right, so need everybody to close their eyes. So first, you will take 3 cleansing breaths. Now, When you're taking these deep breaths, you're going to inhale through your nose, exhale through your mouth. Long, deep breaths. That's how we're going to start. First breath, in, hold, out. In, out. Another deep breath, in, out. Now I want you to be aware of all the sensations in your body. Do not touch them. Allow each thought to come and go without judgment. Just allow them to go through your mind. You're going to unclench your teeth. Remove your tongue from the roof of your mouth. Drop it. Relax your shoulders. Pay attention to your breath. So, you're in a field. Beautiful flowers, trees. You're feeling the wind on your face. You look around, thinking to yourself, it's been a while since I've been out in nature. You hear the birds. You observe all the other creatures around you. They are not there to harm you. They're just going about their business, just doing what animals, what insects do. And you're there. You look at a tree before you and you say, how can I be like this tree still? Only movement is the leaves on the branches. You will become like a tree and you will spring roots that go deep into the center of the earth. Anchored, you will allow all the energy, the healing energy, the cleansing energy, relaxing energy of the earth to go into your body through your feet and travel up to the crown of your head. You now open your heart to receive all that serves you and to release what no longer serves you. All the fear, all the doubt, all the worry, the stress, let it go. And then prepare yourself to receive whatever it is that will be helpful to you after this presentation. With that, you will slowly get back to yourself. Feel your arms, fingers, your feet. Be aware of the room that you are in, and you can slowly open your eyes. Okay, when you're finished, just let me know in the chat that you've opened your eyes. so that we can begin. All right, beautiful. Awesome. So I just hope that when I begin to share my screen tonight, it doesn't give me any problems, because Zoom has these issues sometimes. Okay, so can you see the screen, everyone? So today I'm presenting on emotional wellness. And we're looking at an holistic approach to emotional wellness. So before I get into all of these wonderful things, I want to know, how do you define emotional wellness? You're free to unmute and share. Anyone? I want to make this as interactive as possible, because this presentation won't be too long. Anybody want to share?
Hello, good night.
Good night.
I would say emotional awareness is healthy expression of one's feeling.
Right, very good. So it's healthy expression of one's feelings. Wonderful definition. Anyone else? Thank you very much.
A comment says, I don't know if you can see because you're sharing screen. Stability in terms of the feelings you experience. Oh, stability and balance in terms of the feelings you experience.
Right, stability and balance in terms of the feelings you've experienced. Okay, wonderful. Great definition so far. Anybody else want to share? Okay. All right, so if no one else wants to share, I can get straight into my definition. Now, the definition that I found is just this, but the way how the first two persons explained it, it's pretty much good. I like the definition, the definitions that you both provided. Now, these are the ones I have. So according to the National Center for Emotional Wellness, the term refers to an awareness, understanding, and acceptance of your emotions and your ability to manage effectively through challenges and change. When you're tuned into your feelings, then you can more easily become aware of your bodily sensations. And so far, both persons pretty much covered this. When you combine both answers, it pretty much covered everything on this slide. But going further, it says that emotional wellness inspires self-care, relaxation, stress reduction, and the development of inner strength. It is important to be attentive to both positive and negative feelings and be able to understand how to handle these emotions. Emotional wellness also includes the ability to learn and grow from experiences. So it's basically like how well you manage your emotions through various changes, challenges, and you're being aware of how you react in each situation. So your bodily sensations, of course, your responses, what triggers you, and really focusing on those factors can promote a lot of positives, right? So, like for example, I started you off with a guided meditation, some imagery, and it really helps you to be in the present and to be mindful, to be aware of how you're feeling in the present moment. And it's important to know how you're feeling in the present moment, because that way you are able to take control of how you react to situations. You're able to choose which emotion you want to dwell on for an extended period. If you realize how your body reacts, the biological reactions that take place when you are angry, when you're sad, when you're happy, and we tend to hold on to the, I would say, to the emotions that feel good, but to be honest, we also hold on to the negative emotions as well. We do for extended periods. We sometimes even make mountains out of molehills. And you know, humans, they have an affinity for doing things like these. So can I hear how, can anyone share their experience with the meditation that we started with? Anybody can tell me how it was for you? Did it help you to be aware of how you're feeling now, like to just pay attention to you know, some people may be having ruminating thoughts at the moment, keep on thinking about something. Even throughout the presentation, you could be thinking about, okay, I probably need to do this after, or I have this to do tomorrow, or after this presentation, I need to do this. Did the guided meditation help anyone at all to, like, for that moment, to feel present or to be present? Can anyone share?
Well, for me, it was, especially in the beginning, it helped me to relax.
Right,
And when that happened, my thoughts came in, those that I was consciously thinking of, and those that I was not.
right,
Um, then when you said that we should be grounded and allow the roots to go further into the earth and feel the energy coming in. When I was doing that, what I felt was it was a moment of clarity for me to see that things that I needed to do or attitudes that I needed to have. For that moment, it was clear.
right, right.
That's it for me.
Wow, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much for sharing that. And that is beautiful. And that is why we need to take time for ourselves in that regard. Remember, it says self care. And as we go further, we'll discuss further what we need to do to keep ourselves emotionally well. Now, let's discuss the importance. Oh, anybody else wanted to share before I continued? Anybody else? Don't be shy. Anybody else?
Yes, good night.
Good night.
Well, for me, in fact, when it started, I get a little emotional because I don't meditate and I don't meditate, right? And actually, I'm actually going through a lot in my life now. So when you did that meditation, I actually become emotional at start. I also become in tune, being present, and I just appreciate that moment. Thank you.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing, my dear. Thank you. And it is beautiful to hear that you all got something. Because I know, even if you're not moved to share it, either in the chat or, verbally, I know that impacted each of you differently, even if it's just a little bit, or it gives you an idea of what to do later to see if it will work for you. So it's something that you can do for yourself on a day-to-day basis. The grounding meditation is something that you can do every day. It helps you. It helps you to deal with triggers throughout the day. Like if you start like that and you become mindful that today I am going to pay more attention to to how I react to things, and be aware of what triggers me, you have better control. Even if you don't get it all right that day, you can always say, okay, this was preparation for the next day. So it's a constant. Healing is a lifetime commitment. Wellness is something that you commit to, right? So you keep going. Now, what is the importance? I may not be seeing all of the, I know that you are posting in the chat. I may not be able to see it right now, but I may ask for some assistance to see you, to hear what each person is sharing, right? So what is the importance of emotional wellness? Emotional wellness allows you to accept how you are feeling. Once you accept your feelings, you can begin to understand why you are feeling that way and decide how you would like to act in response to those feelings. Being emotionally well grants you the power to express feelings without constraint. It also allows for you to be able to enjoy emotional expression and be capable of forming supportive and interdependent relationships with others. So it's important because you get to understand why you're feeling a particular way. You get to decide how you would like to act in response to the feelings that you're feeling. And that line basically speaks for itself. It doesn't even have to be broken down any further. It really gives you the power, as I said before. It makes you able to control your feelings and express them without constraint, because now you are aware of yourself. You're more aware of yourself, and that it gives you a form of emotional freedom. You don't feel bad about crying because you know why you're crying at that moment. You know you probably need that release, right? And so you don't feel bad about it or feel bad about expressing, or you're not like, oh, why am I crying? No, you release because you understand why you need to cry at that moment. So earlier in the previous presentation, when it was mentioned that it's okay if you feel a particular way on a certain day. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. Like it really is. It really should be done. You should acknowledge the feelings, acknowledge it. Because in acknowledging it, that is how you're able to deal with it, to control it. And it allows you to be able to, maintain strong bonds. It really improves your relationship with others. It helps you to form a supportive circle around you. It helps you in so many ways, because then you're able to see clearly and not just suppressing those feelings because you want to get through the day. There's so much pressure for us to always be okay, right? But we form a supportive circle when we're honest enough to say that today is not a great day for me, but I know the fact that I am aware that I'm not doing well today, I'm going to do something about it, versus knowing I'm not doing well today, pushing it to the back of my mind. And when somebody comes to me that day, probably telling me that, I have some things to do, I'm not up to date with whatever I need to do, I snap at them and be like, I do my best every day. And if you were dealing with those emotions and accepting that you are not feeling your best that day, you could have totally reacted differently. All right. So what happens when we do not take care of our emotional health? So you have emotional symptoms. So that's feeling happy, sad, disappointed, regular feelings like anxiousness, and the list goes on. So the emotional symptoms that we get, they can be positive or negative, and can come from within you or be a reaction to your environment. Emotional changes can be normal. Temporary responses to events, however, disproportionate, extreme, persistent, or unstable emotional reactions may indicate an underlying disorder. So it's basically saying that it's okay, emotional changes are normal. They're often temporary, but if they're too extreme, happening too much, one emotion is prolonged, and your reactions to certain situations are unstable, then you really need some help that time. You really need to seek some type of therapy or talk to someone. Be honest about it. Again, we have the habit of pushing it at the back of our minds because of issues with trust. And trust in and of itself is something you need, because the first person you need to trust is yourself, and you need to trust yourself enough to really know that you can make a commitment to yourself and have it handled in a way that will actually help, right? So abnormal emotional symptoms are associated with several psychiatric illnesses. So these things are linked to mental illness. So poor emotional health can lead to mental health issues, can lead to a lot of mental illnesses, anxiety disorders, bipolar disorder, dysthemic disorder, whatever the pronunciation is, major depression, postpartum depression, seasonal affective disorder, and substance abuse, right? So that's what happens when we do not take care of our emotional health. Anybody else have anything else to add to that? What else do you think happens? Anybody open to sharing any experience when they neglect to really address their emotions and get into just an autopilot?
You tend to break down and panic.
Right.
Things don't go the way you expect or plan it to go.
Right. You break down, you panic. You're like, OMG, what am I going to do now? How am I going to survive this moment? Like, you feel like everything is burning up around you. And there's a meme that I find very I don't have it now. Wish I had it to show you, but there is a meme that I find very funny. It's from this man is sitting in a bar. And everything is burning, and he's just there in the midst of everything. And I'm like, okay. But I get it. I really understand it, because that's life for many people. They sit there, they don't necessarily have a response to it. They're just, everything is crumbling around them, and they're just there. And it's not something that, it doesn't mean that you should have a stressful response to everything, but it doesn't, I wouldn't recommend allowing everything to burn around you and being all chill about it burning, because eventually, in a moment where, when you come out of the fire and you're cool, the moment something comes to remind you of the fire, your outburst would be just as the fire, if you get what I mean. So it's almost like you become the fire. So how can I take care of my emotional health? Now, I'm excited because I really want to share these things. Right, and I'd be happy to answer questions regarding any of these things. But meditation, mindfulness. So what we did, we were being mindful in that moment, because it's really being aware without judgment. It's a form of meditation, a practice of being present and scanning through your surroundings, the way that you feel in your body, and really allowing yourself to just deal with the now, because the past is no longer there. The future has not yet come. The present, the present is all right. The past used to be the present, and the present will be the future just the same, or the future will be the present just the same. So we're living in a continuous present moment. And when we come to realize that, we will start to know that the time that we need to deal with is the now. What we need to think about is the now. You have an exam tomorrow, fine. Or you have it next week, fine. But what can you do now? Right? What can you do now? If you have it tomorrow, what you need to do now? Doesn't mean that you need to know, get very neurotic now and start worrying about the fact that it's tomorrow. But what can you do to prepare yourself better? Because you cannot always be practicing to have yourself extremely nervous and then stepping into an exam room nervous. Not everybody does well with that. Some people, the moment they get nervous, forget everything. Now, deep breathing exercises. It's good for your lungs. It really increases your lung capacity. It helps with anxiety issues. I can tell you from personal experience, my own testimonial, 20 minutes of deep breathing is very helpful. After a while, like, I don't know about any other person's experience would be when they do this, because everybody has a unique experience. But I can tell you, I felt zen the entire day. Like, I decided that I'm gonna sit down and I'm just gonna breathe for 20 minutes. In through my nose, out through my mouth, without you hearing that big sound like I'm breathing in. So it's normal breaths. In and out. Right. So it's normal breaths in and out for 20 minutes. Deep breaths. So sound healing. Calming therapeutic instrumentals. I don't know how many of you do that. Listen to those instrumentals even when you're studying, but it is extremely helpful to do that. I have one particular sound healing bath that I love to share with yes, practice becomes perfect, of course. Yes. So, and that's good, you keep on practicing, right? So you practice, and that's the deep breathing exercises, right? Huh?
She was speaking to your previous slide about mentally preparing yourself, and yeah.
Oh, yes. You keep on doing it. Yes, of course. Thank you. Now, yes, so back to the sound healing part. I'm going to share it in the chat later for you to check it out. And YouTube is a good, it's a really good site that you can go on to just watch various guided meditations, listening to healing sounds and stuff like that. You know, you have some of them that you can listen to the Tibetan bowls, and I can tell you this, I've had my own experience with these sound baths. Wonderful. It just takes you to a place for that moment in time. You don't think about the fact that you need to cook. You don't think about what you need to clean. You're just in that moment. That time is for you to relax and heal and just be in the moment. You take your time and you do that before you study, so that you don't get into the studying all stressed, and you're all sweating, and you're not running or skipping or anything. You understand? Because sometimes we get so stressed and we're reading one thing, we're just writing something, and then all of a sudden you start sweating like OMG. Yeah. So inner child healing. Inner child healing. What is inner child healing? It is going back to that child that you were. That child that probably never got all the things that he or she needed at the time. That child that needed more love. A lot of us went through situations where, it was traumatic. Not everybody went through this issues of the same magnitude, but we all experienced something when we were younger. We all felt like there was something more that needed to be done to really make us feel the way we should, and we see it affecting us in adulthood. And so, or in young adulthood, also in our relationships, day-to-day life when we get older, because the subconscious responds to suggestions. The subconscious is powerful. As a child, you are a subconscious thinker. Your subconscious reads everything. Your conscious mind is not as active as it is now. So that means anything you say to a child when they are so young, it's like it's recorded from memory, in memory, and it doesn't play out in a way where you're going to hear them say everything word for word, but it plays out in the way that they behave. And that is why some of us have certain emotional triggers. We don't know where they're coming from because they're so deeply rooted in the subconscious as suggestions they've been said to us many times, things that have been done to us many times, and it's stuck there to the point where we don't even know that the reason that we shouted at our friend this morning was because of something, not the reason that we claim, but we reacted that way. Yes, we could have been upset without reacting that extreme. But what does this situation remind you of? If you took some time to be more self-aware, to do some shadow work moving on, you would have understood the reason you reacted that way. And many a times sometimes we quarrel and we think that whatever, and we know deep down that the issue that we're quarreling about is not exactly the issue. But for somehow to mask it, like for example, you're quarreling about the cup being on the counter, right? And you need it to be in the sink. But really and truly, you know that you're upset with the person, but you start quarreling about the cup. And so when you're not aware of how your feelings, and you didn't pay attention to how that made you, whatever they said or did, you didn't pay much attention to how it made you feel. You were just there in the moment. You keep on replaying thoughts in your head, and then you're dwelling on it and all those things, and then later on all you can think about is the fact that they did that. Like, why in the world did they do that? And then all of a sudden, the cup on the counter, you're quarreling about the cup instead of settling the issue of the fact that you did something to me. Shadow work helps you with that. Shadow work It's like journaling, going deep into yourself, the side of you that you wrote off, that you say you don't want society to see, that side of you that you don't think a society would accept. For example, if I come to you as a healer or a counselor, you wouldn't expect me to have certain type of impulses. Even though I'm human, you think I should have it handled. But what in my shadow self, deep down, tucked away, I may have a raging bull. I may have this aggressive person. Why? Because of pain that I have not dealt with. It's different when I'm dealing with it, which I have taken time for shadow work just the same. But deep inside, I have that there, and I decided to tuck it away. I forgot that girl, but no, I need to take her up and love her. I need to let her know that I love her. I need her to know that she mattered, and I need to transmute it, to transform her by first acknowledging her, bringing her out for into the light, and letting that part of me heal by first acknowledgement of my shadow. I am this person, and I use that aggressive energy. I put it into my work, into doing my work to the best of my ability. I want to pass my exams, and I realize that, for my whole life I've struggled. I take that pain and I transmute it to power. That's how I do it. And that's how we can do it, right? And we can do it. Now, gratitude. Gratitude is important. Wake up every day thankful for something. Thankful, like if it's even the birds. You see a bird where you like, be thankful for it. If you get a piece of chicken leg, be thankful for it. You understand? Somebody give you a smile, be thankful.
Latifa,
Yes?
there's a question in the chat. How do you know the difference between inner child healing and shadow work?
Okay. So they are different but similar in a way. They go hand in hand. In shadow work, you have to do inner child healing. But I wanted to separate the two for you to know that your shadow work is something that is ongoing. Inner child healing too, but your shadow work is something that you will do as often as possible. The journaling and the inner child healing takes place. Mostly, you do it through meditation. The shadow work part now is being aware of your emotions in the present moment and trying to understand why you react to a particular way. Why am I so aggressive? Or think back, it helps you to think back to what really is causing you to be that aggressive. If it's something that someone did to you or something, but the inner child healing will come into that, because sometimes while doing shadow work, you need to meditate. And in meditation, which I didn't do tonight, but I usually take people through that too. It's an emotional experience when I guide them through it. When they go back to meet their inner child, they hug them, tell them something they needed to hear, let them know that who they're gonna be later. Because my personal belief, I know we all have different beliefs, but my belief and the belief of my spiritual path is that the past, the present, and the future, they're not linear. They're parallel to each other. Therefore, if you realize, if we change the perspective, if we look at our past in a different perspective, we change the present a lot of times. When we look at our past differently, it really changes how we act in the present. So inner child healing, there is really the difference between two of them is that they're done in a different context, but they're basically the same thing. Shadow work is a part. They're basically done the same time, I should say. It really depends on you.
Okay.
When you want to do your inner child work.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So be thankful all, be thankful for everything, find something. If you want to write it down, get into the habit of taking a note. Anybody comes to assist you, if you get a little one friend to help you to study, or somebody new that decided, oh, let's have a study group, be thankful for even that. Because you may be, say for example, you're a procrastinator and you have somebody that is always saying, come, let's study, or let's discuss this because this is the best way that you learn, or you retain stuff. That's wonderful. Be thankful. Find a medium of self-expression. If you find a hobby, find something that keeps you occupied, something that keeps you, that helps you to be able to vent and to express your feelings. I like to do, I have an event that I will do with everyone virtually. I have a group on Facebook of everybody in the group, spoken word healing therapy or healing session, that we come in there, we make poetry after meditation. And through meditation is where we find our solution. Through meditation, we find our solutions in there, and then we bring them out in poetry. Whether you want to bring out how you feel in it, and then you see you know, share with everybody what you got from that little meditative experience after you're finished with the whole experience of going into yourself and finding the solution after you have identified with the issue itself. Because I bring you deep enough for you to do that, and then you either write it down, or you even share it. If you don't want to put it in poetry, you share it, right? But I just create that platform for people to be creative and expressive at the same time, and I facilitate healing, so people get to share things that they probably never share with other people, and we just have lots of fun, and we get to know each other. So you have to do something that you love. Find time to do it. It's a part of self-care. You know, sometimes you need to look at yourself in the mirror and say, me nice and all these things. And for the guys, you can just say, yeah, me nice, me handsome and all these things, you know? And just, what should I say now? Boost up yourself like supple then. So make yourself feel how you deserve to feel. And then you take some extra time in the shower, probably to just say, you know, feel the water on you, everything. Just do everything intentionally. Right? Final thing, accept yourself and your emotions. Accept yourself, your emotions. I could put a whole list of other things. Self-awareness is very important, but you need to accept yourself and your emotions. Because a lot of times, as I said before, we feel like we need to be pushing it to the back of our minds for us to appear strong in front of other people. We think it's healthy. We think it's a part of dealing with all this emotional thing, but it is not healthy to pretend as if your feeling is not there. You're doing yourself a great injustice. And the trust in self is important when it comes to the fear of failure. You have to trust in yourself enough to know you'll give yourself a chance to try, that you'll do all you should do, and whatever you did, you know that was your best at the moment, with the resources that you were provided, or with how much effort you put out. You know why you know your strengths, you know your weaknesses, and you know why you didn't put out as much, and you know how much more to put out. So when you're more self-aware, you know, all right, for example, I'm going to share this with the persons who know that they're procrastinators. I'm the type of person that I'll prepare a lot of things even the night before, but I try to make it awesome. That's how I was going through college. But what I realized is that it put me under immense amount of stress, and sometimes I was triggered easily in moments like those, when I felt like it's coming down to that time and I'm not ready, or I don't feel as ready, or I'm a bit agitated because I was up all night doing everything. So what I start to do now is, the moment I get something to do, is because I know who I am, I try to do it like a day after, or the same day, I at least start it. And then The moment a person asks me, oh, you need to write this letter or you need to do this, I'm like, oh, I did it already. Yeah, from a long time. So because I know who I am, I have to do it now. I have to do it soon as I get it, because I know who I am. Now, that's what self-awareness gets you. And I'm proud of myself. I can say there's a lot more work to do always. And with anyone, right? There's a lot more work to do. So we're almost at the close of the presentation. So, but I'd like to ask, how do you take care of your emotional health? How do you do it? Anyone want to share? How do you take care of your emotional health?
Well, for me, sometimes, should I go ahead?
Yeah, sure, my dear. Go ahead.
For me, I can say that I'm not taking care of it the best way I
Mhm.
can and the best way I should.
Right.
But now and then I usually read. But I came on this program because I really think that there is more that I should do to take care of my mental and emotional health and well-being. And you mentioned meditation, so I probably start taking that up.
Right. Mhm.
Right.
Yes, man. Take it up. Take it up. Take it up. It's something that you can do anytime you wish. Oh yes, start. If you're gonna do it, try to start. If you're new to meditation, at least 5 minutes. If you can't go up to 5, you can do it for the first 3 to see how long you can sit still, right? So don't force yourself. As you get used to it, you can go up to 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes the most, and that's it. You have some people can do it up to 3 hours, but those are the
Yes,
advanced. Huh?
I want to ask a question. Do you normally do a list of affirmations during the meditations?
You
You
can
just
do
allow
that.
yourself to get through.
Yes, you can do your affirmations. Meditation is mostly a moment of quiet time. You can listen to affirmations, hear what you can do. What you can do is record your affirmations. It's great to hear your own voice, because many a times we're going through hypnosis and we don't even know it. Because as I said, there are many things. Even our parents make suggestions to our subconscious without being aware. Suggestions are being made to our subconscious every day and we're not aware. And affirmations really are great ways to make suggestions to your subconscious, because that's even when your conscious mind believes something. If your subconscious doesn't believe, you don't act in line and you wonder why it takes you so long to do something if you know better. No, when you start to truly believe it from the very core of your being, subconsciously and consciously, then you start to really feel that way and act that way. So what you can do is record your own voice, and you have some you can listen to on YouTube as well, you know. You have different playlists that you can look for. You can look for affirmations for self-esteem, for boosting self-esteem, affirmations for um boosting self-confidence, and so on. But it's good to record your own voice, and while you're meditating, you can just listen to it. Put your earphones in. If you don't have none, use a speaker, or you can just use your phone if it's loud enough for you to hear. And while you're meditating, listen to your voice. So that meanwhile, when you're there, focusing on your breath and just being still, it has a way to reach your mind without you having to do anything.
Thank you.
Right. You're welcome, dear. Anybody else? If no, then
Somebody in the comments said that they pray.
beautiful. And praying is powerful, just the same. It takes a lot of intention. I mean, you may have heard that you have to know how to pray, I believe that when people, regardless of whatever belief or background, I'm not big on prayer. I do pray, but I do believe one thing. When you're praying, you pray with conviction. You believe in the things that you say, and believe in your ability to do or to receive it. And you must feel yourself worthy of it, first of all, because that is how you get things. Feel yourself worthy. I know many of us feel we're not worthy of mercy, but yet we say to ourselves that we are not perfect. So if we already accept that we are not perfect and we know we are born imperfect, why are we not worthy of mercy? You understand? Our Creator loves us very much. And if not, I don't think we would have been here, regardless of whatever background we're from. I am accepting of all, and that is, and however you express it to me, I'd be like, of course, and pray and believe. You understand? So prayer is wonderful. It helps, and it gives you that feeling like, there is a way to release, and there's somebody that understands, right? Or there's an entity in this universe that understands. All right. If any questions or comments before we totally finish and we say our closing affirmation, and then you can use it. Oh, any questions or comments? Before any questions or comments, anyone? No one? Everything was clear?
Yes, I'm not seeing any questions in the comments right now or at YouTube, but most of them were already asked while you were presenting.
Okay, beautiful. All right. So the closing affirmation, would anybody be open to unmute for us all to say this? I am emotionally healthy. Everybody? Let's all say it. I need a chorus. Quorum. Choral. I need us to say it like one big, like we're in a choir now. Anybody?
I'll say it along with you.
Okay.
Okay. Let's go. Everybody, I am emotionally healthy.
I am emotionally healthy.
healthy.
And you're going to say it in a way, you're going to say it 3 times, and you're going to say it, feel it in your gut when you're saying it. Feel it.
You can count us off.
Pardon?
Count
1.
us off.
Okay. 1, 2, 3.
I am emotionally healthy.
I am emotionally healthy. I am emotionally healthy.
Beautiful. And even though we didn't say it all at once, it was okay. I like the way it sounded to me a while ago. Beautiful music to my ears. Now you can make more affirmations and say them daily. So you can add to that list. Now, a lot of people may find affirmations unrealistic in a way, like you're lying to yourself, but you try not to look at it that way. Try to see it as something that you're working on. And so working on it, it means that you're going to tell your subconscious that, hey, this with the one right now. This is what we want. This we are saying right now in this moment. No more self-loathing and self-doubt and fear. We just want to be, I am self-confident. I am strong. I am becoming a stronger person each day. Keep on affirming, affirming, affirming. Now that we have come to an end of my presentation. I have my page is Mystique Expressions, Mystique as in MYSTIQUE XPRESSIONZ, and that's on Facebook, and same thing on Instagram with an underscore at the end. So yes, it has been a pleasure to present to you today, and I'm open if you want to seek my assistance and want my contact details. I don't know if I should share it here or I could
Chat.
Okay, so I'll share it in the chat if you want to contact me, and you can always talk to me, those who are open. And I'm not judgmental in any way. I'm open to every spiritual background, and I'm ready to give you insight when you need it and stuff like those, because my work goes deep. I'm happy to do it, and I'm happy to help, and I love everyone I meet, because yes, it sounds weird to say, but the affirmation of a child is very powerful. I've always said I love everyone, and funny enough, when I get the chance to know you, even if I felt a certain way about you, I can't yet say for sure if I would actually leave somebody who really needs help, no matter what they did to me. Saw people do some serious things to me in the past, and I still love them. So I really believe I'm capable of much greater, right? So that's the way you should think about yourself too. Know yourself, trust yourself. And when people are telling you that no, it's not true, that's not you, you should be able to say no, I know me. And take sometimes what they say too, but know how to distinguish between what they're implying that you are and what you really are, what they see that you are, right? Okay. Have a great night, everyone. Love, life, blessings.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. And I want to thank you all who came out to this session. I know it was a bit hard for some of you because it's the mid-semester time, but I really do hope that the 2 sessions that you were able to present was able to help you, to guide you, to calm you for your future exams and for the remainder of the semester. Thank you so much and have a good night.
Good night. Mwah.